welcome to the Passionate Professional series. My name is Tunde Kukoyi, and I'll be the host of tonight's episode. The Passionate Professional series is an offshoot of the Passion and Purpose Hub and is a channel that sets out to share useful information that helps us to maximize our passions and our purpose. So we don't enjoy only just success in our lives, but also fulfillment. I mean, success is important, but it's not as good as having fulfillment with success. Someone said that there's no what's the point of getting to the top of the mountain only to realize that you've climbed the wrong mountain all along. And that's one of the reasons why this show has been created. This is episode 19 of the Passionate Professional series, and we have a very important and special guest in our midst, Mr. Tapiwa Mtemachani. This show, like I said, has been created with the aim of bringing you closer to professionals from across all walks of life. I work in healthcare, but I'm not stuck with healthcare. People from business, from arts, from media, entertainment, and the aim of bringing you closer to these people is to kindle a flame within you, to help you see that if these people just like you and I, are living out their potential, then there's no reason stopping yourself or stopping myself. And I hope that this aim is being brought to life through the people that are bringing to us every month, every time we come here and we gather for a webcast like this. Like I said, our guest for today is already in the studio, but I always want to acknowledge and thank all of you that watch this live or even play the replays and drop your comments because this is someone said that feedback is the breakfast of champions, and I agree. Like it helps us to get better, it helps us to know what is missing, what we can add, and all of that. So thank you so much for sticking with us all around this past 18, now 19 episodes. Thank you so much. Always remember that it's an interactive session. The aim, I always see this as a mentorship session for myself, and I hope you see it the same way as well. Because sometimes we do not get the opportunity to sit people like this down, but with shows like this, we can sit them down, ask them questions. I mean, the core questions that people almost never ask. People just ask surface questions. How did you become this? But when you ask them the core questions that reveal how they got to where they got to, that's how we learn and that's how we become better. So just before I bring up our guest for today, I always like to share an insight before we start. And our insight for today, I'm going to um, I'm going to share my screen and I'll share our insight for today. And funny enough, our insight for today is taken from a movie. It's not very often that I share insights from movies, but sometimes I think it was in May I saw this movie, and I'm not a fan of movies, but I sat down to watch this movie. The 2007 movie titled The Bucket List, starring Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson. If you haven't seen this movie, I would recommend that you see this movie. I'm not going to be a movie spoiler, but just very quickly, the summary of the movie is that there were two men and they met in the hospital ward and they found out that they had a terminal illness. And they decided that since they had a terminal illness, what's the point? They were going to go out and live out all that they had planned to live out, that they had just had a wish as wishes. They decided to live it out, and that's where the title of the movie comes from, The Bucket List. It was a really interesting movie, but something that struck me the most was a point in the movie where Morgan Freeman said to Jack Nicholson, and he said that at the end of our lives, all that will really matter is two questions. And the first is, did you find joy in your life? And then the second was did your life bring joy to other people's lives? And something to think about. There are two very big questions that you can sit down for like hours and dissect. But what I'm going to stick with today is the first part of that question, and that's did you find joy in your life? And a lot of times, like I said, when people get to the top of the mountain and they find out that they were only climbing the wrong mountain. And one of the key ways that we can find joy in our lives is actually finding out what we're passionate about. And that's why we always talk about things like this. Even the title of this series is Passionate Professionals, because all of life is about passion and action. If there is no passion in what you do, no matter how much you do it, you probably will not find joy doing it. So a quick question or a key question to ask yourself is what am I passionate about? And how do I find out what I'm passionate about? It's a very, 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 very long topic. But a key I think one model that you can use to do that is to ask yourself three questions from the past, from the present, and the future. So from the past, the question to ask yourself is what did I enjoy when I was growing up? What are the things that made me happy? What are the things that gave me joy? Now, talking about the present, ask yourself, what are the things that make me cry? What are the things that make me sing? Sometimes, what are the things that make you angry? What I mean, when you see things like that, for example, it could be injustice. What are the things that make me angry? What are the things that keep me up at night? that might give you a clue as to what you're passionate about. And if you think about the future, what are the things, if money, if your job was not a problem, what are the things that you've always dreamed about? Those are the things that you need to probably sit down, reflect, and write it out, because we never know how long we have to spend on this earth. So when you find those things that you love, just go out there and do it, because that's one of the ways to find joy in your life. I'm going to very quickly bring up our guest for today into the studio. And just as a quick intro, I only met him a couple of months ago. I think it was in May actually, and it was a business forum. But just listening to him, I could tell. I mean, he was just sitting down and talking, but I could tell that he was really, really passionate about what he did, what he does actually. He's into healthcare, leadership, and things. But I mean, passion is something that is really palpable. If it's there, you can see it when someone is doing what they do, and that was why I was like, I must definitely meet him, and I was really want to be passionate professional series, and he's been very gracious enough to accept my invitation. So very quickly, I'm going to read his bio and then bring him onto the stage. Okay, so in a second. As you always know, there's something called Murphy's Law. If you've never heard about it, is that everything that could go wrong tends to go wrong. And that's one thing with technology. But thankfully, I've got the slide on the stage. Um, yeah, so our guest for today is none other than Mr. Tapiwa, also known as Taps, is going to tell us the origin of the nickname Taps, Mtemachani. I hope I got that pronunciation right. He will tell me when it comes on. So Taps has worked in the NHS, that's National Health Service in the United Kingdom, for those who live in the United Kingdom, for 21 years now. He originally trained as a general nurse in Staffordshire and then spent the last 12 years working primarily around integrated working in senior commissioning roles that are focused on service improvements and system reform. As the Director of Transformation and Partnership for the Integrated Care Board, he takes the executive lead for the Integrated Care Board on population health management. He addresses inequalities and systemic reforms, including development of the Black Country Integrated Care Partnership, as well as developing strategic approaches, processes, and infrastructure to address disparities and inequalities. A significant part of his role is building relationships and effective partnerships within and beyond the Black country. So, ladies and gentlemen, um, like I say, with a virtual round of applause, can you kindly welcome to the stage Mr. Taps Tapiwa Mtemachani? Hello, Taps. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Tunde. Hi, and hi everyone. So pleased to join with you this evening.
Thank you. How's your day been?
My day has been awesome. It's been a fantastic day. Sunday. I'm a man of faith, so Sunday's church day. So I've been out to church and feel recalibrated, ready for the next week.
Good, good. Tomorrow is a bank holiday. Are you working or are you going to be relaxing as well?
No, tomorrow is a bank holiday, so my role is administrative. So I am excused from work on a Monday, but I'll be doing some home work, which is about clearing the garden and things like that.
Okay, okay. When you said homework, I mean, it just brings back memories of when I was in school. And like homework, it makes you cringe when you hear homework. Oh, I have more work to do. But I get what you mean by homework now. Oh, thank you. All right. So, as we always like to start, I'd like to find out a bit more about you. I mean, I've met you once, but for some people, it's the first time that they're meeting you, or people that have played replay, they've not met you before. So, tell us about yourself. I'm curious about the nickname Taps. I like it, but I just want to know where did that come from as well, your background, a bit about yourself. It'd be good to know at the
Absolutely,
start.
more than happy to share. Thanks to and thank you very much for the opportunity to share my life's journey and my professional experience as well with you and with everybody that is joining into this podcast today or at a later, a more opportune time. Well, my as you quite rightly say, my name's Tapiwa Mtemachani. I hail from Zimbabwe. I was born in Zimbabwe in a place called Lomagandi, which is now called Chinoi. That is the place where I was born, and I grew up in the capital city of Zimbabwe, which is Harare. That's where our family home is. It's still there now. I'm the first of three children that my parents had. And after me is my sister. She's in Northampton. She's an accountant in Northampton. And my brother, whom I saw just, my sister, I saw her yesterday actually. And my brother is a solicitor in London. And I saw him on Friday. And we were raised by my mother and my father. My father died in 1994, road traffic accident, died on the spot. So it was my mother who's done the heavy lifting over the years. And in fact, I was with her, like I say, yesterday. We went to see mum. So that's me. That's what's informed me. That's that's Tapiwa. It's who I am. It's where I was born. It's who I grew up with, who gave birth to me. That has informed the person that you see in front of your screens today. TAPS is short for Tapiwa. When I was growing up, I used to be called Tappy, and then some people started calling me Taps, and so Taps just stuck. So I get known as Taps more than Tapiwa. Not many people know my full name, but there we are. It was just an issue of a shortened version of my first name. Like I said, I'm from Zimbabwe. I came into the UK in 2000 actually, it's been a long journey, a long arduous journey. I noticed that you've got three different pictures of me in your introduction, and that struck me as three different seasons
of your life.
that I've gone through as a professional. All of those pictures tell a story of different stages of my professional journey, and I hope I can share some of that with yourselves as we go along this conversation today.
Yeah, definitely. That would be good to hear. That would be good to know. And it's interesting that you told me that TAPS is the short form of Tapiwa. I know that name has a special meaning because I met someone and I was like, I'll call you Tapiwa. And she's like, no, call me Tapiwa because I like the full meaning of my name. What's the full meaning of Tapiwa then?
Okay, well, actually, Tapiwa is not the full meaning of it. So
Okay.
it's not the full name. It's actually Tapiwa. If you want to extend it properly, it's Nashe, Tapiwa Nashe. That's given by God.
Yeah.
It's a gift from God.
Yes.
Tapiwa means given.
Right.
But ordinarily you would have the full kind of sentence, and given by God is what it essentially means. So yeah, TAPS is a short form of given by God.
Nice.
So maybe in English I just call gift.
Yeah, I definitely agree. A great gift to our generation.
Yeah.
So moving on to some of the other questions that we would like to ask you, which I like starting with, is what are some of your values, some of the non-negotiables that have brought you to where you are today? What would you say some of those values are?
Okay, so I think number one, and I make no apologies whatsoever for this first one because I know it's horses for courses, isn't it? But different, kind of people have different standpoints on this one. But my faith is absolutely number one. My faith in God as a Christian is absolutely number one. That is not negotiable whatsoever. And I would say coming in second is my wife, my family. That is a non-negotiable. And then coming in third, I would say it's purpose. My purpose as an individual, and my work is imbued within that. So discipline and commitment, hard work. Those are all values that that have been ingrained within me. Uh, Certainly from my parents, my mother and my father were very hardworking people. So I come from a very strong pedigree of hard work, hard and honest work. And so I remember when I was growing up, my grandfather, my fraternal grandfather, he was a policeman and a teacher. So you can just imagine. So a policeman and a teacher, only one person. I mean, he was a proper disciplinarian. And so was my father. He was a proper man of discipline. He used to make me sit down and do work with him until late into the night. I had to do my maths over and over and over and over again, and he'd be sitting there working. So I saw that, I observed that, I learned from that. So one of the strong values that I have is around hard work, and discipline, because all of that is imbued within purpose, understanding of my purpose and applying myself committedly towards that same purpose. I would say those are the kind of three broad headings of values. I would say my faith first, my family, my wife number one, and then all of my nucleus family straight after that, and then purpose.
Oh, excellent. I like the three: faith, family, and purpose in that order. And I like the fact that you actually gave it an order. So it's not just maybe purpose, maybe family, but the order in which they fall. And it's a good thing for all of us to always know this. I always like to start with this because um, just this afternoon, we're having a conversation, and people were like, "Oh, I'm scared for the next generation," and I was like, "Yeah, I kind of agree, but I think the previous generation said the same about us." But to an extent, I also agree with them because I think a lot of people nowadays do not know what their values are, and they just depend on what social media says to define them. But if you know what your values are, if you know what your non-negotiables are, then it'd be hard for someone from somewhere outside to just come and just bamboozle you because you know what your values are. And again, it helps you to make decisions, tough decisions. There will be times where you have tough decisions to make, but if you know what your values are, then it makes that process easier because as long as you stick with your values, then your heart and your mind will be in one place and you will not be troubled. So that's why I always like to start with that because it's very
Yeah,
foundational.
can I interject there, please, Tunde, just to add a little bit more to that. So there's a guy called Stedman Graham, who is Oprah Winfrey's partner. Not many people know about Stedman. A lot of people obviously know about
Okay.
what's the name? Oprah, yeah.
Okay.
But Stedman, he wrote a book called Identity Leadership, which I really like. I really like that book, Identity Leadership. Um, he talks a lot about what it says on the tin. Identity leadership is about knowing yourself, yeah, knowing yourself and leading yourself effectively before you try and lead others. Yeah, you can't give what you don't have. So
True.
it is really, really important for you as an individual, and particularly in these professional spaces, to invest in yourself and in the knowledge of yourself. Yeah. So identity is absolutely important. Otherwise, there will be winds and waves in life that will try and shape your course. If you don't know who you are, you will drift, and you drift away from purpose. And purpose is the one thing that we live for. Purpose is lived for. Some people don't have very much in life. Some people have a lot, but purpose keeps everyone going. Yeah, purpose is what gets you up. It's the fuel for life. Yeah, it gets you up in the morning. When your chips are down, when the economy is going haywire, everything's is a bit murky, but purpose gets you standing up and moving on. So if you don't have that sense of purpose and understanding of identity as it relates to your purpose, you're in murky waters. So I would say for me, identity leadership is a fundamental in terms of our professional pursuits, uh, and your values inform your identity.
True.
So it's all interconnected, isn't it? And so you
Definitely.
talk a lot about this notion of intrinsic value system. how it informs your decision making. I'm a big believer of that, that your intrinsic value system informs your decision making. The decisions that you make are to either uphold your values or to enforce your values. Yeah, that's how we make decisions as individuals. So when I talk to people that I mentor, and I mentor a lot of people, when I talk to people that I mentor, I talk to them about really getting into the nuts and bolts of why an individual is the person that he is before you get into the decision they've made. A lot of people focus on a decision somebody has made and assume that somebody is such a way because of the decision that they made. Actually, by the time you get to the decision, there's so much that is informed the decision. That is what you want to actually glean from. And that comes out of that intrinsic value system. So the values that you've amassed over time, growing up, your experiences, your challenges, etc. So I just wanted to just interject with that one. I'm hoping that it's
Oh,
helpful.
wow. I mean, I'm sure everyone listening can appreciate the value that added to us what you've said, and I totally agree with you. And the book for everyone that if you just for the people that are joining, I can see more people are joining. We've got Mr. Tapiwa, aka Taps Mtemachani, is the director of at the Black Country Integrated Care Board, and we're talking about his values, which is listed as faith, family, and purpose, and yeah, so we're just talking about how you need to know your values and your identity. He's recommended a book called Identity Leadership by Stedman Graham. If you want to read a bit more about identity leadership, that's a book for you. So you just talked about purpose, and someone once said that the secret to passion is purpose. If you have a purpose, then your passions will stem out of that. So, what are some of the things that you're passionate about, if I may ask?
Yeah, so I mean, there's quite a few things, and when we talk about purpose, it's not one thing. It's a lot of different factors. It's multifactorial. Purpose is multifactorial. It's not. There's no one thing that we're directed at. There's so many things that we are here to accomplish in life, and they might all kind of converge at some point, but actually it's multifaceted. So for me, the things that I'm passionate about, like I said, um, you know, I'm passionate about my family. I absolutely adore my wife. She's at my right hand. She's supporting me. I support her. We work together as one man. I think that's a really important foundation for professional progress. Yeah. So I'm passionate about our marriage and how I can build that and how I can enhance our marriage. I'm also passionate about my work. I love my job. I love what I do. I'm making a difference. I'm acutely aware of it in terms of the difference that I make. So I'm passionate about making that difference. Yeah, for society. I'm passionate about society itself. What sort of environment are we creating for the next generation? I'm passionate about that. I'm not just minded about my what's in front of my nose. I'm thinking about years ahead and generations ahead. What sort of a place am I going to leave here? So I'm passionate about making a difference within our society today, so that the people that will inhabit our society tomorrow, after I'm gone, they can enjoy this gift that we call life. So I think, yeah, those are the things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about my faith. I'm a man of faith. Yeah, I'm a man of faith, and I'm very passionate about my faith, about God. And I worship every Sunday. I'm in church. Every Sunday I'm in church. Midweek I'm in church in the evenings. I'm serving. I'm doing my best. I haven't got it all together. I'm still I'm being worked on. I'm work in progress,
Progress, I
but
agree.
I'm passionate about that. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. I'm going to cone in on something that you said you're passionate about the society, and I've
Yeah,
seen you talk at an event before, and I've also seen some of your previous interviews, and I can tell that you're passionate about reducing not just health equality, but inequality in general.
yeah.
Why are you passionate about reducing inequality?
Yeah, so this hasn't started now. This is something that started from a very young age. I was born a leader. I'll tell you now. I was born a leader. In fact, I was just talking yesterday with my mom, and she was saying, "Oh, I've got this picture of you. I can't find it." And we tried to look for it, couldn't find it. She said she's got this picture of me as a toddler with a T-shirt, "Future Decision Maker" on, and she was just talking about how proud she is of me and such and whatnot. And yeah, it was a fascinating conversation. But this person that you see today is informed by that person from yesterday and the days that have gone before. That young child, who had a dream to make a difference. Now, I grew up in a society that was deeply divided by race. Yeah, so it was kind of post-colonial Zimbabwe, and the remnant of colonialism was still very strongly there, present. Sorry, in Harare, even in the neighborhood where I lived. So that has informed me. My father was something of an activist, actually. He was a chief executive finance officer in a regional body called SADC, Southern African Development Community. So he was an administrator like me, but his passion was around society. And I remember my mother telling me, "Your father wrote to the president of Zambia to tell him to to why aren't you helping the people in Zimbabwe, with the situation that is going on." He wrote a letter. So that's how passionate he was about this issue of social justice. And so I think that's where I got it from. I've always had this inkling for social justice, just wanting to see justice for people. I've always stood with the underdog. I've always stood with the underdog. Maybe that's why I support Arsenal. Because I've always stood with the underdog. When people are not rating other people, that's where I'm at, wanting to see that underdog receiving some form of equality or parity.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what's informed me. So now when I look at our society today, and having experienced what I've experienced as well, going through the motions, and in some ways I'm still going through it. Where you're misunderstood, where maligned, ostracized, uh, all of those things that people talk about. I mean, it's commonplace in our society today. The kind of racial discrimination, how it plays out, that systemic kind of discrimination and inequality that exists. The passion for social justice within me says I've got to fight this. I've got to fight this and do the utmost, yeah, for others who can't speak up for themselves. So even my professional pursuit, and I have not reached. I'm still striving and working hard to keep pushing and progressing. But as far as I have reached, I want to make a difference from where I am, to make sure that I pull others up who haven't got the sort of opportunities that I have or have had during the course of my professional pursuit. So that's the social kind of justice aspect for me. It's about how do I pull others up, because I realize just how difficult and how challenging it has been. Let me give you one more example, Tunde, if that's okay. I
Sure.
went to boarding school. I went to a school called Alan Wilson in Zimbabwe. Now, bullying was rife in Alan Wilson. Yeah. So when I went in as the first year of high school, I was bullied massively, massively. I was bullied so much, that we used to try and find places to hide and come back to the hostel late at night when everybody's asleep, because they used to beat us up at night and stuff like that. So I started playing squash with a couple of friends of mine who were in the same year as me, of course. And so I became really good at squash. I was the second seed in squash in the whole school in my first year of high school. Just imagine that. I was super good had squashed because it was an escape. Now that said, that's an aside story. The real story here is because I was bullied, I could not find it within myself to repeat the cycle when I became a senior. When I became a senior, bullying stopped. I did not want other people to experience what I had experienced. And so that's the activist within me. Yeah, I want to stand up for other people. I want to live this world in a way that I would like to inhabit it myself. Yeah. So even in terms of in the professional circles, that's why I mentor people, because no one was there to help me. Yeah, I have got a few mentors now, and praise God for them. They're absolutely fantastic people who have really helped me. But early on in my journey, I had no one to help me. I just had people who misunderstood me, maligned me, all of those things. So now for me, and especially people of our color, people of our race have not helped me. So now I want to be the change that I want to see. So I want to pick up my brothers and my sisters and anybody. It's not even about race for me. It's about humanity. It's about humanity. So black, white, Asian, whatever ethnicity, whatever race, whatever, kind of creed, whether you're Christian or not Christian, I want to help humanity to be a better version of ourselves. And that's the social justice aspect that's within me. It's inbuilt.
Wow, thank you for taking the deep dive into that because it shows us who you are and why you do what you do, and because the why is always very important. And I like one of the statements you used at the end. You said, "Be the change that you want to see." A lot of people think that the ability to reduce inequality only lies in the hands of politicians, governments. But you're showing that even with healthcare, you can reduce inequalities. Even if you're a teacher in school, you can help reduce inequalities. It was Mother Teresa that said that the world would be a cleaner place if everyone only swept their doorstep. So, in your own region of influence, if you can do what you can do to make the world a better place, it will count. It doesn't have to be on the grand scale, but in that little capacity that you have, do your best to make the world that you're living a better place. Thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
you also talked about leadership, being a born leader. But for many of us as professionals, when we see leadership, we feel like, oh, it's for a select few. But what would you say about that? Is that an important skill for every professional, leadership?
I would say absolutely. If you're working in professional spaces, one way or the other, you are informing somebody. And if you've got a responsibility to inform, then you're leading. Yeah. If you're informing somebody in some way, shape, or form, then you're a leader. Yeah. And that then it means that there's a responsibility in how you inform. Yeah. So that's why you need to work on yourself and work on your identity leadership. So that's self leadership first, because informing people is hugely responsible. It's hugely responsible. Now that said, I know I said I was born a leader. I don't believe that everyone's born a leader. I do believe that leadership can be trained. Yeah. And also, I believe that leadership is not leadership is a value. It's a value. So you glean it and you learn from different people how to lead. So I would say uh, it's also situational. Sorry, I've got loads of thoughts going on in my mind. It's also situational as well, Tunde. So it's relative to what you're going through, as to what invokes that leadership from within you, what induces that leadership from within you. It's situational. Yeah. So I would say that I would pay more attention to the responsibility of leadership than to the notion of leadership itself. Yeah, rather than battling with, am I a leader, am I not a leader? Let's look at the responsibility that comes with leadership. Let's hone in on that responsibility. Let's shape ourselves, yeah, in terms of that responsibility and understand it as a responsibility. Then you do no harm. So because it can be harmful, because you inform people. So I see a lot of people with identity crisis, Tunde, who are thinking, am I a leader or am I not a leader? In the meantime, you're damaging people. So rather than battling with, am I a leader or am I not a leader? Think about the responsibilities of leadership and work on the responsibility. Be responsible. Be diligent with what you do. Inquire, read, understand, learn, glean, be mentored, submit to other people and work with other people, have a respect for people, honor, those kind of things. That is what responsibility actually is. And then, irrespective of whether you understand that you're a leader or not, you do no harm if you take care of the responsibilities, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm. Wow. Some insights about leadership. Instead of asking yourself, am I a leader? Am I not a leader? Focus on the responsibilities and be responsible to the people that are under your sphere of influence. Because if you don't do that, you're probably damaging them. That's a food for thoughts that I would go home with. So tell us about some of your most productive habits. You said a couple of things like read books and things, but what are some of those things that you do that have made you the man that you are today?
Yeah, there's quite a few things, but I think one of the things is ideation. I'm an ideas person, and I'm open to ideas. I see things in things all the time. I'm looking for deeper meaning all the time. So my breadth for ideation is very, very, very wide. My depth is very deep for ideation because I look for meaning in everything. Even when I'm outside, I'm looking at nature and things. I'm looking for meaning. I'm looking at the cosmos. What's happening with the sun and the moon? How is it positioned this week? I'm looking for meaning in different things. Maybe call me superstitious, or deeply spiritual. I'll take whatever definition you have, but I just call it ideation. I'm somebody who's always thinking about things, looking for deeper meaning in things. Yeah, those are some of the gifts that I have, that I've kind of worked on, kind of over time. So I would say, yeah, that is one of my productive habits, is ideation. I take a lot of time doing that. Also, I just I'm reflective. I take time to think about things. So once I've heard something, I'm not good on my feet, by the way. Thinking on your feet is not my gift. Yeah. So I have to reflect. So I've come to understand that. And if you're a reflective person and you're trying to operate on the hoof, if you like, then you're always on the back foot. So it's very important that you understand that really quickly, so that you can move into the space where you're operating in your strength. So I found that I'm reflective, and so it's a habit. I take my time to think about stuff. I reflect on stuff. I improve myself. I always work on improving my game on the basis of my reflection. Yeah. So I could sit here and tell you that I read a lot, which I do read, but not as much as my wife. She's a more prolific reader than I am, but I do read. I skim read stuff very, and I grasp things very quickly in that sense. So yes, I could sit here and talk to you about reading and jog in the morning and stuff like that, of which I don't do. I would like to do. I would like to jog a little bit more, but I don't do that. But my thing is ideation, and reflection. Those are the things that I do really, really well, that have served me well in my role.
Wow. I'm just going to ask a bit more about the ideation and reflection because it's something that is fast going out of fashion today. Like we don't have time to sit down, to think, to come up with ideas. When you have those ideas, what do you do with them? Do you write them down
Yeah,
somewhere?
yeah.
What do you do with the ideas?
Yeah, so I do. I write them down, and sometimes I will text myself. I text myself so that later on I have to look at it because I've got something in the inbox. So I've had instances at work where people have said, "Well, TAPS is deeply academic," and I'm listening. I just nod sometimes because I don't want to go into the conversation. But what they don't know is I'm not academic. Yes, I've achieved a lot academically, but I'm the least academic person you can come across. I'm just gifted in terms of ideation and reflection. I've honed on those things. Yeah. So some
Yeah,
of the things that I then talk to people about at work and stuff, I've written them down. It's dropped down as a light bulb. Boom. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to say. This is how you need to approach such and such. So I've become disciplined in terms of that. When I receive an idea, I write it down, or I will text it to myself, and I'll look at it. And I'm also, well, I would say I'm extremely disciplined when it comes to that.
mm. I think that's a nugget for everyone because someone cracked a joke about ideas and he said, most of us we get ideas, especially when in the shower. The only difference is that most of us, by the time we're drying ourselves up, we're wiping the ideas off because we don't take time to actually record those ideas. Just like you said, the light bulb moments, you have to take time to write it down and reflect upon it because that's when you add flesh to it and you make it something
Yeah,
really tangible. So it's
yeah.
something for all of us to be mindful of. Can you just share with us some of your achievements? You did mention that a lot of people said that you're an academic, but share with us some of your achievements. Some who have joined today, some of them have got a background of healthcare, and they're wondering, oh, how did you start from just being a student to a nurse, and now you are a director in an integrated care board, which is like the body that coordinates healthcare delivery. So, I mean, just tell us some of your um, biggest achievements. I mean, it's not bragging; it's just showing people that these things are possible.
Yeah. And I like what you just said there. It's not about bragging. I absolutely take um, um, this opportunity with a lot of humility, because I realize that this is something that is beyond myself. Honestly, I've had help. I've had help from above, and so ordinarily when I talk about achievements, my best achievement I like to talk about is the egg and spoon race in primary school because I came number one in the egg and spoon. Honestly, this is my most serious achievement. I love sharing this achievement, egg and spoon race, because that's where I came out and out first. The rest of my life, I've been, kind of chasing number one, chasing number one. The only other area where I was first, no, I forgot about this, but actually it's really important for this conversation, is when I was doing my A levels. I was the best student in business management,
Hmm.
number one. I won prizes on this one, so I'm incredibly proud of that, and I'm even more proud of that achievement because all of my secondary school years were fraught with academic challenges because of the bullying that I outlined earlier. So A levels was a kind of recovery for me, or reconnaissance, if you like, for me. So my greatest achievements since then have been I studied as a nurse. I qualified in Staffordshire. I worked as a nurse for about 5 years before I moved into commissioning. And towards the end of my nursing kind of career, I did an MBA, health executive MBA at Keele University, and I self-funded that degree, and I did well, you know. And from there, I then went on to do a master's in healthcare leadership, which I would say was my best degree, because I found myself in that degree. I found the thing that I'm passionate about, and it's leadership. And so, yeah, so that was my master's in healthcare leadership. And whilst I was doing that master's, my tutor, and I passed it with the merit. I was just a couple of points of distinction, actually, because I was really into it. I was fully invested in it. And my tutor said, "Why didn't you do a doctorate in this?" And I said, "Well, nah, not me, not me." Within a few months, I'd started my doctorate, which I've paused now a little bit because I'm very, very busy. But I'm hoping to continue my doctorate and to complete it. But I have done my postgraduate certificate in healthcare science, in health science, in leadership and transformation. But that postgraduate was actually essentially about philosophy, the philosophy of social sciences. So yeah, I would say those are my kind of greatest achievements. They're academic, but they're more than just academic. They're about my life experiences and me maturing as an individual into those and through those milestones, if you like. The other greatest achievement for me has been this role that I'm in now. As a director and as an executive. I'm living the best days of my life, professionally, because I am now able to operate more, I would say, more freely in the kind of spaces that I think I was built for. Yeah, because ideation, and reflection, I can move things at my pace. I can work on ideas and see them come to life. I'm seeing things come to life now. Things that ideas that I've penned together, or penned down, if you like. So I would say, yeah, but I've not reached, this. I'm still on this journey. I'm still stretching. I'm still pushing. I'm still hoping, and yeah, that's where I'm at. Those are my biggest and proudest achievements, I would say, without taking up too much time to.
Thank you for sharing that. I like that you didn't forget the egg and the spoon race. Because sometimes we undermine all those things. We be like, well, that was not an achievement, but it's something that makes you feel like I was number one at something. I can't be number one at something. And yeah, all your academic achievements and now your achievements in the professional sphere. As a follow-on question to this, because I always like asking them hand in hand, is can you tell us about a difficult or a challenging time and how you handled it? Because we can easily impress others with our achievements, but sometimes it doesn't help people that are in spaces where they need encouragement. And the way we encourage them is to make them see that I've also been through a challenging time just like you. So if you have anyone to share with us, that would
Yeah,
be helpful.
please, can I draw on a personal one, which is the death of my dad, because it has informed how I've dealt with things throughout the course of my professional career. So when my dad died, I was 13, and I was numbed. I was numbed by it. It was the uttermost grief. Yeah. So as a 13-year-old lad, and you're looking to your dad for direction as you start to grow into adulthood, it was difficult. The way I handled it, as in retrospect, and during the time I could not define this, but in retrospect, what happened is I compartmentalized stuff. So all of the issues I was going through went into different compartments. My dad was in a separate compartment, and what I would do is I would pick out what I can manage at a point in time and work through it. Yeah, bite-sized chunks is how I worked through grief. Yeah, in some ways, even now, in some ways, I'm still working on that grief, but it's been in bite-sized chunks. Yeah, so I found that helps me greatly in different situations where I'm able to compartmentalize it. Remember, I said I'm good at ideation and reflection because I compartmentalize things straight away. I'm methodical like that. Yeah. So I then start to pick out what I can manage in bite-sized chunks and deal with it. That's how I've dealt with challenging and difficult times. Even at work now, I compartmentalize things, and then I work on it bit by bit. It might be a week, it might be a couple of days, Depending on the problem, it's situational, isn't it? Depending on the problem, depending on what's going on, I compartmentalize and I work on it at a pace that I can handle. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. I'm using such a personal experience. The death of your father, like you said, when you're only 13, must have been really difficult. But you're able to draw some learning from that. You probably had a time of introspection during that grief to find out who you really were, and you found out that the best way you can handle this is to compartmentalize things and then deal with things at your own pace by putting them into compartments. It must have been a difficult time of your life, but you learn something that you've been able to take out from that and use for your life going forward. And that's like a lesson for all of us for difficult or challenging times that they will happen to all of us at some point.
Absolutely.
And it's a decision whether we want to become better from that or if we want to become bitter. I mean, there are people that have had similar experiences like yourself and have stayed bitter for many years, but you've made yourself better because of that. And that's learning to draw from that. Not to let challenging times, they will be difficult, but not to let them make us bitter, but instead to let them make us better people going forward. Um, just as a reminder for people that are watching, I can see that some people watching live as well. Remember that it's an interactive session. I don't want to be the only one asking all the questions. I've got one question already, which I'll ask in a bit. But if you have questions, comments, suggestions, just type them as comments, and I'll be sure to read them as well. Um, the next question I was going to ask you, although you've actually talked about it in a bit, and you also talked about it when you said that you had to post your PhD, because I understand is how do you balance life and work as a professional? You're an academic, you work as an executive. You mentioned your activities in church. So how do you balance that life as and work as a professional?
I just do me. I don't try to be anybody else. I just do me. So I work according to my own bandwidth, what I can manage, what I can handle, and what I can't handle. I've learned to let go of what I can't handle. And when it comes to work, it has a start and it has a finish. Um, and that's how it is. That's why we're given 37 and a half hours per week is what I work. Okay. So there's a reason why it's 37.5 hours a week, because someone has already done the homework of looking at how much can a person handle and
Mm.
how much can a person apply themselves. 37.5 hours per week. Yeah. So apply yourself within that frame. Yeah. Of work must have a start and a finish. Some people work 40 hours, some people work 45 hours. I get that. But let your work have a start and let it have a finish. Yeah. And then also just be yourself, be you. It's very, very hard trying to be somebody else, something that you're not. So if you haven't got the bandwidth for handling the sort of things that I handle, don't do it. I'm certainly not going to be trying to be a medical doctor like Tunde. I will not try that because I might kill people. I will be dangerous. I'll be dangerous. I work. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Yeah. So I think that's a really important lesson to understand in terms of balancing life and work as a professional, because you're one person. Your professional is the same person that is in the personal. It's the same person. So work according to what you are able to handle. Yeah, is what I would say. Don't try to be anybody else, and also be principled. Have some very clear principles about how you work. Yeah, so that will help you. It'll be a safeguard for you as you go forward in life. So because other things will start to try and stray into your path to try and deviate you, and then it becomes a difficult balance to strike. Yeah, everything that you have before you is already packaged for you, as long as you stay you. If you try and be somebody else, then what's packaged for you becomes difficult to handle and to manage. And if you're trying to grab somebody else's package, then it might be too heavy for what you're able to handle according to your muscle mass. Everyone has a different muscle mass, because different people how to handle different things in life. Yeah. So do you is the first thing that I would say. Have those principles and work as a start and a finish.
Well, I think that question actually about work-life balance also I would take it as an answer because I think it's very appropriate as advice to young professionals. You said be yourself, stay in your own lane, be principled. Um, Everything that you need to be yourself to be is already been packaged for you. Don't try to be someone else. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. And regards to work-life balance, you said work must have a start and have a finish. Some people don't. It's kind of blurry. Like work kind of blurs into life kind of blurs into work. But you need to. I like the way someone said it. His name is Jim Rohn. He said, "When you're at work, be at work. When you're at the beach, be at the beach. Don't take work to the beach, and don't take the beach to the
I
work."
like
Which is something that all of us need to learn actually. A lot of people take the beach to work and work, but they are dreaming about their holiday.
yeah.
And when they are on their holiday, they are dreaming about work. But you need to have a clear start line and a finish line. For the sake of our time, I'll just quickly go to the question that has been asked by someone from the audience. The question says, "Good evening, Taps. I have a question for you. How long does it take to develop a good habit? And do you ever find yourself sleeping on some days?" What would you say
Ah,
about that?
yeah, do you know, yeah, because I've heard many people say, well, it takes 21 days to develop a habit. Well, that's nonsense. I'll tell you that now. You know, I tried this with my weight loss, and after 40 odd days, the habit broke. So that science does not work. There's no exact science to developing a good habit. The only method for developing a good habit is repetition. And you might need to repeat that habit for the rest of your life. Yeah, that's what you've got to come to terms with. Certain things just need to be done for life. If you
Mm.
don't do those things, yeah, there's nothing that is going to be automatic in life. There's no exact science to this. There's no time period. Yeah, this is going to be something that you just have to be steadfast with and continue to do. Yeah, if there's a good thing that you've identified in life that you need to do, then you need to be prepared to do it for life. Remain consistent. Yeah, do good. Remain consistent with doing good. Yeah, so that's a habit, isn't it? Doing good. Yeah, doing good is a habit that but you can't say, well, I'll train myself for 21 days and then after 21 days I don't even need to try, I'll just be doing good. No, you just have to be, intentional about doing good for the rest of your life. So take stock of some of those good habits, the things that you want to engender in your life. Be prepared to do it for life. Simple. And you will slip up. Yes, because that's life. Nothing is linear in life. Situations come, winds come, and waves, they all come. You just have to learn to be disciplined. And when you fall, get back up and keep marching, keep moving. Yeah. That's why it's important not to give yourself a time frame, because after 21 days, then what? Forget about it. But if it's a good habit, then it's worth sticking to, isn't it? Beyond the 21 days. So if you slip up, you get back up again, because what's driving you? Purpose. So encouch your good habits within purpose. What is helping you to achieve purpose? That is the thing that must always steer you. And that has no time reference at all. It's okay. The time reference is life. We're doing life.
I agree with you. I think yeah. I think sometimes we feel that if we have that pre-programming that if something becomes a habit, then we don't need to work at it anymore. But the truth of the matter is we still need to keep working at it. And I like the way you said that anything that is what developing a good habit at is what doing consistently. So for example, your habit is that you're trying to develop is to read something or to read every day. It doesn't mean that when you've done it for 20 years, then it becomes automatic that you just wake up in the morning, you read, you don't have to put effort. You still need to put that effort. It might become easier, but you still need to keep putting that effort. And that's the place of consistency. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation and for adding so much value to us, Taps. Unfortunately, we've run out of the allotted time that we have for tonight, but I'm sure that everyone that has listened in, I can see that 6 people are still watching live. I'm sure that everyone that has listened in has been able to glean some value, to get some value from all you've shared for us today. Um, just the last question I'm going to ask you is for people that want to find out more about you or to connect with you, what's the best social media platform to do that? And
Yeah,
um,
LinkedIn is the best one, or Twitter. So LinkedIn, it's Tapiwa Mtemachani, my first name and my last name, and you should be able to find me. Twitter is Taps M7, is the Twitter handle. Connect with me, and more than happy to help and support where I can.
all right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in again on episode 19 on the Passionate Professional series. As always, the way we sign out, till we meet again, make sure you keep living with passion and purpose. I will see you on the next episode. Bye, everyone, and thanks, Taps.
Bye bye.